from Nashville, Tennessee, it's time for another episode of Tips, Tactics, and Tools for a Safer Tomorrow, where all things related to your safety and security are discussed, detailed, and delivered to you. You may leave with a tip that saves you money or a tactic that saves your life. So here are your hosts, owner and founder of Defend Systems, Brink Fiddler, and owner and operator of Herring Technology, Tom Herring.
Hey guys, welcome to this edition of Tips, Tactics, and Tools for a Safer Tomorrow. Brink and Tom with you as always. Today, I'm excited to welcome a familiar face and Adam McIntyre, our former director of training, now our vice president of operations. He got a little promotion in the last little bit. And we're going to welcome our new guy as well to the podcast, Mike Bearden, or Michael Bearden, but goes by Mike Bearden. Adam and Mike used to work together. I'm going to let them get into all that. But Mike's been with us for a couple weeks now. Is that,
a couple weeks,
yeah. About right. Adam could tell me the days, hours, and minutes when he came on because he was so excited to be here and be out of the Army, but not really. But the main thing I want to do today is just let people, most of the people that listen to this, not all, some are solely Tom's clients, but a lot of them are our clients and support us and what we do, and
or our clients,
or very
together.
True, or our clients together. That's very true.
Had to explain that to an architect the other day of who is Defend Systems and Brink.
Yeah,
you sent their resumes in. It's a team.
Well, you had to explain it to your nephew at one point too because he thought I worked here.
That's
a true statement. That's a story for a whole different time. Remind me to tell you that story. Yeah. It's pretty good. But yeah, or our clients. So the whole point of this is I want people to get to know you. You're the newest member of the team. Sure. Adam had to do this, and since he's a man of so many words, it was no problem.
It was easy.
It was.
You just pull the string and he goes.
But you're here. Let's be honest. You're here largely because of Adam, right?
That's right.
So brought it to my attention. So. And I'll let Adam kind of tee up some stuff too, but I do want to get a little bit into your background. Both you guys came out of 5th Special Forces Group out of Fort Campbell, meaning you're both Green Berets, part of Special Operations of the United States Army. I've learned more about Green Berets in the last 3 years than I've ever known in my entire life. I guess prior to you guys, and to be honest with you, Sean Ryan show, I'm listening to some of that. All I knew about Green Berets is that they were special and they wore green berets, and that's really all I knew about them. I didn't know what you
where
got.
I fell.
Yeah. For people that are listening, if you're interested in what Green Berets do, if you watch the movie 12 Strong, it's a pretty good depiction of exactly what they do. I'll let them explain more about that. But Michael's going to get a little bit into your background, kind of where you're from, how you ended up in the Army, kind of all that jazz.
Sure, yeah. So I'm originally from Cartersville, Georgia, although because my dad was in service as well for 23 years, all of my life, I lived everywhere, from Hawaii to New York, Massachusetts, Kansas, all around Georgia. We were stationed here at Fort Campbell up north, and yeah, it was always, as a kid growing up, joining the Army for me, it was just always a part of my life. I felt like a call to serve from a very young age. Even as young as like 3 or 4, I'm dressing up and playing Army out in the backyard and in the woods and all that like boys do. But I think I got my first set of stitches doing PLFs off the bed with my dad. Parachute landing falls.
Oh.
So I jump off the bed, roll on the floor, do my parachute landing fall, and knock right into, the footboard there, and got a nice scar on my head. So.
How old were you?
3.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you definitely.
Yeah, so it was a lifelong thing for me. I knew I was going to join the Army and joined straight out of high school. I left within a month of graduating, and I was in Iraq about 6 months later. So.
Where did you graduate high school?
Massachusetts, actually.
Oh.
Yeah, so
I knew that northern accent.
Yeah. No, so actually,
here.
high school was a time. I went to 4 different high schools, so we moved every year.
Oh,
it was just a crazy time in his career and in the family. We had a lot going on. But yeah, I ended up in Bedford, Massachusetts, graduated there in 2005, and left out of Boston MEPS, so.
How long after your graduation?
So we graduated in, I think, June, and I was gone by the end of June. So my dad made a joke. He put me on the 1890 plan. He said, when you turn 18, you got 90 days to get out of the house. You know, so I made it in like 72 or whatever, 72 days, I think. But yeah.
You said Boston MEPS. For people that don't know what MEPS is, can you explain that?
Sure. It's Military Entrance Processing Station. So that's where you go, get all your shots and your physical, and they determine whether or not you're fit to serve. So.
Okay. And then where'd you go for basic?
Basic was at Fort Benning, Georgia. So I contracted as an 11 Bravo or infantryman, and so I did all my basic and advanced individual training after basic training there at Fort Benning, Georgia as an infantryman. And
then you got deployed pretty much right away, you said?
Yeah, so I graduated in October of 2005. And at the time, I didn't know this yet, but the unit that I was being assigned to, they were already gone to Iraq, to the Sunni Triangle, south of Baghdad. So get done with basic. I go home on some leave, come to my first duty station here at Fort Campbell, and the unit's gone. There's a couple of dudes there. So I go back home for some Christmas leave, and then by January, I'm in the Sunni Triangle.
Where's home still at this point?
So home still.
Massachusetts?
No, they had moved back down to Georgia. Okay. My dad had, let's see.
Home for you is, we got to check on what year.
Yeah. It's, most of my family's still in North Georgia, so that's what I call home. And
okay.
Yeah, that's where I went.
Got it.
Yeah.
But by January, you're in Iraq.
Yeah, so we're talking 6 months out of high school.
How'd you get to Iraq?
I took a military charter flight to Kuwait, and then from Kuwait, you take a military aircraft into Iraq, and then from Baghdad International Airport, I think I took a Black Hawk in the middle of the night out to some little base somewhere that I had no idea where I was going. I'm a private. I don't have any ammo. It was an interesting experience, as a child, at 18. But I remember, I'll never forget landing there at the forward operating base, the FOB, and my squad leader comes to get me in a Humvee. He's like, all right, throw your stuff in the back. You got guard in the morning,
And you have no ammo?
Not yet.
Yeah, I got that night, and
you're in a war zone.
Yep.
Kind of like experience. You get it just after you needed it?
Well, sure, yeah. But yeah, from childhood on, I always felt the call to serve, and it's kind of a family business, My family on both sides has been here a long time.
Okay.
So, and we've served in a lot of the wars. Great uncles, my father, my brother, my grandfather, my ancestors all the way back. So
yeah, didn't we hear something about 5 generations ago?
Yeah, so my fifth great grandfather, Richard Bearden, was in the South Carolina militia in the Revolution.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool legacy.
Kind of hard to go further back than that.
That is a little bit hard.
Yeah.
Was this first deployment the one you were telling me the story about driving the Humvee under night vision? For the first time ever?
Yeah, so again, as an 18-year-old kid just showing up to the Army, I'm just showing up to this platoon. I have a very basic level of training. So one of the first times I drove under night vision was driving a Humvee, which was also my first time driving a Humvee on a muddy canal road. So picture a road between two canals in farmland in Iraq, and I'm driving at night trying to keep this thing not between the mayonnaise and the mustard, but between the certain death of going off on either side.
Yeah.
It was a pretty fun experience. My team leader's sitting over here in the passenger seat, beating me over the head with a hand mic, as I'm trying to keep this thing on the road. But yeah, it was a good experience.
Well, and describe the night vision for people that don't understand night vision.
Imagine your entire awareness is like looking through a toilet paper roll.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's
pretty much it. With one eye. Yeah, not two, not the cool guy stuff we have now. It's PVS 14. So your entire existence is right here.
And you're trying to drive a Humvee, which you've never driven before.
Yeah,
and
in
Adam's
combat,
yelling
and all that other stuff. But
without killing everybody on board.
Yeah.
No pressure. Welcome to the Army.
Yeah.
That's when you knew you were in the right place. Man, this feels like home.
Just after you needed it.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
So something interesting about this deployment is probably your length of that deployment. Was that a lengthy one for you?
Yeah, so that one was, I caught up to them about 90 days into it for them. So my first one was 9 months. So yeah.
Did you do a 15-month rotation?
I did do a 15-month rotation on my second tour.
The second one.
And this was all, I didn't go over this, but my first unit of assignment was the 101st Airborne Division. So I was in 1st Battalion, 502nd Infantry Regiment, 2nd Brigade of the 101st. So. And there was actually a book written about that first deployment called Black Hearts. So it's an interesting read, but I don't have an honorable mention in there or anything.
That's terrible.
You know, I wasn't important, but yeah.
Did
No,
they,
the story was about you. Come on.
No, not
Adam,
at all.
help him out here.
No,
You didn't have a pen name in there or anything?
no, nothing good. No.
No nicknames? We'll get to that later.
Sure.
So how long were you back? So you get back from deployment, then what? Like here, just where your real training starts?
Yeah, get back from deployment in September of 06. And I think, you know, because I'm in the 101st, we're the Air Assault Division. So the first school that I went to was that November. I went to Air Assault School.
10 hardest days in the Army.
Yeah, they call it the 10 hardest days in the Army, you know. But I would find out years later that that's perhaps not the case. You know, it's something that I think maybe they make it hard, you know, because you could probably do the whole school in like 3 days or something. But yeah, it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was certainly horrible as a private, you know. But
what is Air Assault School?
It's basically learning how to operate with helicopters. So rotary wing lift. You do sling load operations, so like hooking things up to the bottom of helicopters. You rappel out of helicopters. You fast rope out of helicopters. I mean, it's all just heliborne operations training.
Well, why do they call it the 10 hardest days in the Army?
I don't know. I never went.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, you didn't?
No, I've driven by the school many times. I see all the fun activities they're doing. I'm like, thank God I never went.
It's because they just smoke you up good every day, especially at the beginning, and you know it's supposed to be physically demanding, and yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Because
So-
the curriculum's not horrible, you know, so they got to replace some of that with some physical activities, you know, to keep you engaged, you know. So,
Well, if it's any consolation, law enforcement's the same. I mean,
sure.
most courses, academies, all that could be done in about 30% of the amount of time that they actually used to do it.
yeah.
But I'm sure there's a method to their madness. Anyway,
Sure.
so second deployment, let's get to that real quick. Now you're still in 101st this time?
Yeah, still in the 101st. Second deployment, I had made it up to sergeant, so E5. So I'm a section leader in a anti-armor company, so it's like a heavy weapons company. We have Mark 19 grenade launchers and 50 caliber machine guns and anti-tank weapons too. So at this point, by the second deployment, I'm a leader, essentially. And I had gone to Ranger School in between those deployments, actually. But
I understand Ranger School is pretty hard.
yeah, I would say it's like it was perfect for me at that time in my career. You know, I went from private to E4. I became I was about to become what they call like a rifle team leader. And for me, that's like the ultimate finishing course for a rifle team leader. It will absolutely prepare you to go conduct operations in the field as a small unit leader.
Were you an E4 when you graduated? Or E5?
Yeah. I showed back up to the unit as a tab D4. You know, I thought I was
Tabs meaning that you
like
get a
Ranger
tab. You get a Ranger tab, yeah.
So you get a little cloth sewn up on your left shoulder, but walking around in the military, people will look at you differently in a good way, respectfully, that you've been through that course. So before I'd ever went to that course, I looked at those guys like, dude, I really want that. And so when I graduated Ranger School, I remember I went home on a 4-day pass, and I already got my uniform sewn up. I just put it in the passenger seat, drove 8 hours to South Florida, just like, dang, I finally got that thing. So I took a little harder route than Mike did through Ranger School. So
well, yeah,
I
think something like, I don't know, 90% of people will recycle one phase. I was fortunate enough to go straight through, and I think it's mostly just because I'm lazy. Like, I didn't want to stay there any longer than I had to be there, you know, so I just went
kind of
straight
the easy
through.
route, right?
Yeah, it was the easy way, yeah.
Right.
I took the hard route of recycling mountain phase during the wintertime, and that was the first time I'd ever seen snow in my life.
Oh, you're from Florida.
Florida boy, yeah.
Yeah, that we got snow, and I was, what is this white stuff? Man, This is not fun to lay down in. And then I recycled, so I had to go through the whole phase again. I'm like, oh my Lord, this is...
But yeah, it's one of the best courses at simulating just awful combat conditions and making you make decisions under a kind of duress that's really hard to reproduce. So,
you're not eating much food.
Yeah.
You're going to burn off anything you eat. You're going to burn off really quick. Average sleep, depending on how well your squad or platoon's performing, a good night's sleep when you're out in the field, man, maybe 2 hours. And that's with you doing a 15-minute guard shift here or a 30-minute guard shift there. So that 2 hours that you're actually down, you're trading off spots with maybe one other dude or two other dudes to full security.
And your patrol base, yeah.
How long was the school?
62 days for Mike, probably about 92, 94 for me. So
Okay.
And I've heard of people staying upwards of like 6 months. I mean, it's awful.
Some guys have stayed there for a long, long time where they've recycled each phase 2 or 3 times. And they've gotten a little way to the last phase, which is in Florida in the swamps, recycled that, and they have to go all the way back to the beginning.
So you're hitting all different environments during that time.
Yes.
Just to,
yeah.
you don't know where you're gonna go.
Ironically, so there's 3 phases now. There used to be a 4th phase, and you know what it was? Desert. And they took that out
We won't need
shortly
desert.
before the
We don't
global
go
war
there.
on
No, we
don't
terrorism.
go there.
So,
No.
and never added it back in, but it's still hard. It's still awful. You know.
Any of the environments they replicate, and one's in the mountains, one's in the swamp. You take all the same stuff and apply it to any kind of environment. So one thing that I was curious about is, man, we don't do a lot of room clearing or, close quarter battles during this course. Not a lot of it. There was a little bit. And, it took me years down the road to understand. I still take all the planning, all the different tactics and everything. I can apply it to CQB. I can apply it to whatever environment I will be in the rest of my military career. So
Yeah,
it took me a little while to get older, more mature, and wiser to figure that out.
It becomes a very robust foundation of small unit leadership that you can apply to anything.
Anything.
Yeah.
I still use that planning today.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going on vacation, I go through the same stuff. I'm looking at weather. I'm looking at the light. What time are we going to travel? All these things. So all the planning I learned in range school, I use on a daily basis.
Conditions change, but the principles are the same.
That's right. The principles of patrolling. Yeah.
So
yeah.
you finished Ranger school
Yep.
right before your second deployment. You're
Yes,
an
sir.
E5,
So
you're a sergeant.
I was in Ranger school from like May to July of 07. And then I want to say we deployed in the fall right after that. So almost straight into another deployment. And that one, to Adam's point earlier, was a 15-month slog in northwest Baghdad.
I'm curious how that happened because most of your deployments are not.
Yeah, so your typical is 12. But this was a time where they really wanted to hammer the insurgents. So we did a huge counterinsurgency campaign. So we had the troop surge in Iraq from 07 to 09, I think. And so my brigade ended up getting extended for that extra 90 days.
Is that where I've heard a bunch of interviews about this, obviously, on Sean's show. But is that where they talk about how hot it was, like when, like just kinetic, like just tons, and y'all were just into crap, like nonstop?
Yeah, in my area, it was mainly Shia militia groups that we were dealing with in northwest Baghdad. And this ended up becoming my first exposure to Special Forces, actually, and to operators within 5th Special Forces Group. We did a few combined things with them, and I was like, man, those guys are squared away, They were all very mature, very good instructors. They treated us like human beings, Yeah. And it was just something totally different that I wasn't used to, but I was immediately impressed, and that's kind of what led to things later. But yeah, that second deployment was, it was a doozy being there for 2 sets of the same holiday,
Yeah, that was
yeah. I think we would typically get like a 2-week mid-tour leave, but my mid-tour was a year in. I was trying to be cool and let my guys go and do whatever they want to do on the timeline they needed to. So I let everybody go, and then by the time I got to leave, I swear it was like a year in, but
wow.
Yeah.
So obviously that was your first taste of special operations, and then you decided you wanted to go try out for that, I guess. So
yeah, I did hit one more deployment before that. So we get back just before 2009. So I think fall or winter of 08. And, we're right back on another cycle to go to Afghanistan this time for the second troop surge in the global war on terrorism. So my brigade gets tapped again, and I can't remember the exact months, but it was 2010 to 2011. I was in the Arghandab River Valley in Afghanistan.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds like a lovely place to visit.
It's a lovely place, yeah.
They have a great mall.
And
Vacation there,
for sure.
I mean,
yeah,
beaches.
But that deployment more than any other was very kinetic. Our brigade did a really huge push called Operation Dragon Strike. You can read about it, but you're talking thousands of people pushing against the Taliban, basically in their birthplace.
So I'm sure they appreciated that.
They did, yeah.
They welcomed you.
Yeah. It was a good one, but I learned a lot. And I mean, a lot of those principles that I draw from Ranger School, like we absolutely did them there. Most of my patrols were on foot. We weren't using vehicles a lot. We're hopping these huge grape walls. And
what is that?
Yeah, so where we were at, they had, imagine a mud wall anywhere from like 4 feet to 8 feet tall with grapes growing out of it. So instead of like the little, vine wires, trellis or whatever that they use here, imagine like hundreds of those walls, hundreds of meters long for miles.
Okay.
And we didn't want to take trails there because of the IED threat, using pressure plates and everything else. The Taliban would put stuff down on trails because that's the path of least resistance. So we would hop walls for hours in full kit, in the summertime. Yeah, it was a good time, but we mixed it up quite a bit with the Taliban on that one. And again, I learned a lot. And
good time. Yeah. That's,
how are the grapes?
Yeah.
They were wonderful, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And pomegranates too. There were pomegranate orchards everywhere.
Just grab one as you're going over the wall, a little snack.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Anything very interesting happen on that deployment to you?
Yeah. So I was involved in a friendly fire incident. So we had a weapons malfunction on a patrol where I got shot a few times, some of it shrapnel in my right leg.
Explain that a little more. I know the story, but explain that a little more. People aren't going to understand if they don't.
Sure, yeah. So essentially, we were going out on a patrol to do some demolition work to clear fields of fire for our a small strong point that we had set up. And so my saw gunner's behind me, so squad automatic weapon. It's an M249.
Y'all are in a vehicle.
Gun. Yep, we're in a vehicle.
Okay.
We head just outside the wire. We're still within the security bubble, and we're going to do a demolition operation. So get out of the vehicle. I'm on the right front passenger side. We call it the truck commander's seat. I get out, and I'm passing the door behind me. As I'm walking by, my whole world just explodes, like erupts. I thought it was a close ambush from some of the structures nearby. I knew that I was hit. I immediately hobble around to the back of the vehicle, and I'm looking around, and I'm hearing nobody else shooting. And whatever machine gun it was that had opened up stops. And I hear my saw gunner screaming. And, it all came to me at once, like what had just happened. He had just shot me and probably himself. So, this is all happening within a matter of seconds. So I sit down and I start to assess myself, and I'm ripping my pants open. By the time I do that, my buddy comes over, pops a couple tourniquets on me, and, I get evac'd. But
so,
yeah,
can you tell what happened? Are you allowed to talk about the? There was a malfunction.
There was, really, yeah. So there's a small pin that holds the trigger assembly onto the weapon. There was some sort of malfunction with a small C-clamp that holds that pin on. And so as I'm walking by, as he's exiting, the pin fails, the trigger assembly falls off, and because it fires from the open bolt position, there's no sear to hold the bolt back. And so he dumps 100 rounds down my body and then into himself. Yeah.
Just perfect storm.
Yes, yeah. It hit me a few times and then hit him a few times and then dropped to the ground and kind of, it was pretty devastating. But so that was about 10 months in to that deployment. Okay. So after all that, I almost get taken out by my own guy, but it was horrible. And it was not intentional. It was not his fault. This is just one of those freak accidents that, it can happen.
Did he make it?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah. He ended up, getting medically discharged out of the Army. His injuries were a little more severe than mine. For me, it hit no bone and somehow no arteries, nothing important. It was flesh wounds. So, but there's always that question in the back of your mind, when you're laying in the hospital bed in Kandahar, like, man, am I going to get kicked out for this, So, but that sort of obstacle it turned into an opportunity for me. I probably could have rode it out. I don't know. Hindsight's 20/20. I probably could have rode it out if I wanted to. But after experiencing the stuff I did in Northwest Baghdad with the 5th Group guys, and then having this injury happen, I'm like, no, I'm going to use this to do something different. I'm going to use this as an opportunity, not an obstacle. So I get home. I was in Kandahar for a couple months recovering. I get home and I want to say it was January or February 2011, and I went to selection that September. So again, it was like I could allow this to, set me back. I could allow it to probably get me out of service, but I just used it as motivation.
So you're not wired that way.
Well, yeah. Like I wasn't done, I'd only been in the Army for 5 years, 6 years at that point, So I definitely wasn't done. I always wanted to be a lifer, so I rode that into the next thing.
You said you went to selection for people that don't know what selection is.
So I went to Special Forces Assessment and Selection in September of 2011.
Okay. Yeah. Is that the Q course y'all talk about?
No, that comes later.
Special Forces Assessment and Selection is basically a tryout.
Okay.
So they've gone back and forth over the years, and I won't get too much into detail about the events and criteria they look for or anything, but they've changed it from, they had a 14-day one to a 19-day to a 21-day to a 24-day. I have no idea what it's at anymore, but probably averages 3-ish weeks, give or take. Mm-hmm. Just a lot of physical activity and with very minimal instruction. So they want to see, are you an adult, are you mature and a big boy to be able to, we give you minimal guidance and go execute. And can you do the right thing when nobody is looking?
Critical thinker, I guess what they're looking for.
Sure,
too,
decision maker, and a team player.
Yep.
They want to see how you operate as an individual, but also as part of a team. And it's essentially just 3 weeks of a job interview to earn the opportunity to train, and that's when the Q course comes in.
Got it.
So if they deem that you're a person that can earn that opportunity to train, then they select you and you.
And you feel really good, man. I just got selected, and it hasn't even started yet.
You want to feel that great sense of accomplishment, but they'll come right in the room and say, "Hey, this is just an opportunity to train. This is just the beginning." And in my experience, later, the Special Forces qualification course, which for some people can be upwards of 2 years, depending on your occupational specialty, it attrited just as many people as selection did.
What is the attrition rate, roughly?
Oh, Lord.
So I know for selection, I'll say we started with 350, give or take. And I think we left, maybe 50 got selected.
Really
maybe,
high then.
Yeah. And I don't know, every course is probably different depending on how many people are getting out and what they're looking for. Maybe, we just didn't have a lot of solid candidates this course, and maybe we're only taking 20. I don't know. But it's not a lot, and I don't know how many comparably in your course. So.
I don't remember, but it was a small number.
I know we were put in tents, and at one point I had to move out of my tent because I was the only one left. And you guys even said it, I'm a man of little words. I didn't talk to anybody in there. But all these dudes in there were...
Now we know where it came from.
Yeah.
All these dudes, though, I saw they were running their mouth, saying, "Oh, man, I'm going to go to this Special Forces group. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to speak this language."
And then all of a sudden they're all gone.
They were saying all these things. I didn't know much about selection. I didn't know much about Special Forces. Very similar to Mike. I was in Iraq, and I saw these dudes going out on missions and raids, and I was quick reaction force for them. I'm like, I'm sitting in the truck. I'll say, I want to go in the building. Yep. So I didn't know too much, to be honest with you. I just knew they do way cooler stuff than I'm doing now, and I'm going to go try out and hope for the best. So
then it turned out it wasn't as cool as you thought it was.
No.
Everything's cool. Got its own line.
Yeah, it looks cool in pictures. Just when you're doing it, there's a lot more weight added to it. You're like, man, these guys are jumping out of planes. They're jumping out of helicopters and fast roping. That's awesome. And then you put on the body armor, loaded magazines, a backpack.
Double basic load.
Yeah, you got a helmet on. You got night vision on. You're like, dude, this is no longer fun.
Yep. Yeah, so selection just earned me the opportunity to train.
And you said the Q course, the attrition rate's about the same as selection, you think?
It was for our class.
It's pretty high, and it's a lot of, you've already kind of been tested physically and mentally. I would say for me anyways, the qualification course is more academics. Mm-hmm. Like you did physical training, but we had a language school, and depending on what language you had was depending on how long. It could be 4 or 6 months, and I think everybody does 6 months now.
Yeah.
But based off of my high school experience, I wasn't very good. I was not a good student. I barely went.
Your 3.8 GPA?
Yeah. Minus 3.7. So I don't know.
I'm sorry. I meant .038. My bad.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's more along. So I didn't have any good learning habits. So I had to learn very quickly when we were in language school how to learn, how to study, because I didn't know how. And I was falling behind very quickly, and I just had to put in some hours. And I was like, dude, I'm going to fail based off I can't speak a foreign language. I haven't even gotten to the tactics, which I felt good at. I was like, I'm not even going to make it there because I can't speak French. This is embarrassing. So,
What was your language?
Arabic.
Okay.
Modern standard Arabic, yeah. So
much smarter than me.
no, yeah.
You take a fake language test. I don't even know. I did mine in selection. I don't know if you did.
Yeah.
So they put the headphones on and they give you these rules of this made up language. So you just listen. Well, in selection, you're going to be hungry. You're going to be tired. So all I was doing was nodding off during this
same
test.
here.
And I'm just like, I
awful.
don't know what they're asking me. I don't know these rules. I don't know this language. Just A, B, C, D, A. Like just
The defense language aptitude
There you
battery.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
D-Lab.
I took it at I want to say 6 a.m. after walking all night.
Oh,
It was awful. I had the same. I was trying to sign in and bumping my head off the screen. So yeah, it was a good time.
it sounds really sexy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I earned my slot. I was selected first time go. I went back to Fort Campbell for about 6 months, I want to say, and I showed up to the Special Forces qualification course in May of 2012.
Okay.
So that's where the long journey began. I had been selected as a Special Forces communications sergeant. So we have, a bunch of different specialties on the team. We have 18 Bravo, which is weapons, 18 Charlie, which is engineer / construction guy, or demolition guy. Yeah.
Demo sounds a lot cooler.
Yeah. Demo, construction, engineer, whatever. 18 Delta, which is medical, and then the 18 Echo is communications. We also have a Fox, which is intelligence, which is what Adam became later.
Wait a minute.
Adam became a fox.
Intelligence?
You said intelligence,
and
yeah.
you just said 0.38 GPA. See what proper training can
I know.
do.
See what the
It took
Army
about
can do for you
14
too.
years.
That's right.
It took a long
Determination.
time to get there, but eventually made it. I'm still working on it. So
That's the last place I meant. Intelligence.
Yeah, whatever.
But yeah, the Q course was I think it was about 15-month journey for me. Again, I was fortunate enough to go straight through. It was awful, but it was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I learned so much about myself and about my teammates, and it's incredible.
So I think this is an interesting fact that I learned from Adam, but you guys have 6 jobs on the team, and there's a reason there's 6 jobs, and because you're 12-man teams, and then you double up. All right, so there's 2 of each on each team, and unlike other special operations units and other branches of the military, you guys are all completely self-sufficient.
Well, yeah, there's a reason that we're called an operational detachment. Essentially, we're supposed to be
ODA.
able to be able to detach ourselves from the main body and live out there alone and unafraid.
Go
Austere
operate.
places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without any other additional support is what I'm getting at. So
yeah, we will be very self-sufficient. So between having a weapons guy on the team that can go and work on foreign weapons or American weapons and train, foreign militaries, or not even militaries, just, a carpenter and farmer, and build them up to, organize them to be able to go fight the Taliban or Al Qaeda. And then you have Mike that can do, different style of communication platforms where it's, just if we're working with regular high terrors and Motorola's or encrypted networks. And our medics, man, they're something else.
They're like field surgeons, honestly. I mean,
they're amazing. And then our demolition guys and construction guys, they can blow. What do we need to blow up?
Yeah.
And to what severity? Like, we want to go blow a bridge up, right? Well, do we want to blow that bridge up for it to be out of service for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? And so they'll do the math and kind of a matrix on, well, how long do we want to take this out? Because we don't want to hurt the local populace if we're to do that. So if they're using that bridge to go to certain places, so. We really have to have an open mind. Brink said it earlier, critical thinkers, people that bring their brain to the table. Anyone can get good at doing physical training, doing push-ups and sit-ups and running and all that, but it really takes a critical thinker to be on a team because we do a lot of things that are unconventional. We have to think for ourselves. And a lot of times when Mike and I were in the infantry prior to special operations, we were given missions to go do. Hey, go to this village or go here. It's the opposite in special operations where we're driving the intelligence. We're gathering all that information and intelligence to make the mission. We'll give it to our higher ups and say, here's what we're going to go do. So it's all driven from the ground up, opposed to a lot of times in the Army, it's just top-down driven stuff. So, but yeah, we have to be self-sufficient. So we can go anywhere for 6 months and we got to just survive.
Yeah, but one of the things that's amazing to me is through the training, how many times you're put under the pressure of making this. Back to the language test, and it's something you may not. You think, oh, they're horrible schedulers or something. You walked all night, walked in taking a test. That's real world. In what you're dealing in, your mind's not.
Yeah,
you're tired. You're having to make those decisions, and you guys being a training company, I think that's so critical in what we're missing in some of our training here with private, other things. If you haven't been through the military, is you have someone that goes to the range and shoots all the time, and they're good, but put them under pressure doing that, or sleep deprivation, however far they had to hike to get there, it's different. And that's amazing to me in talking with you and some of the SEALs, and of how much training is done under those real world conditions. And that's a lot of people don't think about that. Well, I can go shoot that. I can shoot this. Yeah, but did you just hike 12 miles to get there with all the gear?
Right.
We have this mantra in my company, I think in the battalion too. It was, we train for the mission we're designed for, the mission we're assigned, and then our worst day. That's how we always did it in the field. And so, our mission as Special Forces, our primary mission is unconventional warfare. So that's the mission we're designed around. But usually you'll be assigned to do something else, like direct action or special reconnaissance or something like that. So it's a little more specialized. And then worst day is exactly what it sounds like, So you want to create those opportunities to fail in training so that you don't, mess up later.
Yeah, there's a big difference to your point, especially like a lot of people that train with firearms. There's a huge, and we talk about this all the time. There's a huge difference in shooting at a piece of cardboard that doesn't shoot back at you.
That's right. Yeah, that two-way rifle range is a little more spicy.
Yeah.
Yep. You got to be dynamic in your movement. That can be a discriminator.
Yeah. That's well said. So you spent. So how long were you in a part of 5th Group and the deployments? Just kind of 1,000-foot view before you went to. I want to talk about the school you taught at too. I think that's important.
Yeah. So I showed up to 5th Group in early 2014, about February 2014, and I went straight to a military free fall team, and that's where I met Mr. McIntyre here.
Okay.
As a young stunner, ready to roll.
What, y'all were on the same team?
We were, yeah. We were both on the same team in 5th Special Forces Group, yeah.
And you said y'all were on a free fall team?
We were, yeah. So again, mission we're designed for is unconventional warfare, but one of our specialties, something that was assigned to our team, is military free fall operations. So
basically just our way to get to work.
Yeah.
But this is prior to you going to Arizona?
Yeah, I went to Arizona close to about a year after he showed up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is free fall?
Skydiving.
Yeah.
But before Adam went, and people that have listened to Adam's episodes know that he was an instructor for the Army.
And that's where, the Army, they'll put on the commercials of people skydiving. But again, then you take the equipment, you put on oxygen, you put on a weapon, you put on night vision, and then you jump at a really high altitude.
It's freezing.
And it's cold. Oh my. That's the worst thing for me. But then, you got to land on these Mars-like environments that's rocky and everything. It takes all the fun out of it. So it's no longer skydiving. There were teams that we went to trainings with out in Arizona and other locations that you'd be like, they're a skydive team. They're not jumping the equipment, but we would always not push the limits, but we would train of how we're going to fight. If we jump into a foreign country or denied territory, we're going to have equipment on us. We're going to have a gun on us. More than likely, we're going to do this at nighttime, so we are going to jump at nighttime.
And it's going to be an offset, so we're going to need O2.
We're going to do it all.
What's an offset?
Like, typically that would be like a high altitude, high operation. Right.
So over 10,000
feet. So high opening, I mean.
You'll be further away from your desired impact point. So if you do a high altitude, low opening, more than likely you're going to be, depending on the winds, let's just say for normal people, about a mile maybe from your location where you're going to land. If we do an offset, we're going to do a high opening. So that gives us the ability to float in. So depending again on winds and other things, but let's just say now we have 10 miles to travel. So no one's going to hear or see us, hopefully. Again, at nighttime, limited visibility for anybody on the ground. If you're really planning this, you look at the moon and illumination and it's like, all right, well, full moon is great, right? Well, not when we want to infiltrate.
Sure.
We might want it, depending on what mission, we want that moon to be obsolete, covered up. So
wait a minute, you can't just wait till Congress decides when you're going to attack, and that's when you do it. You mean you may have to go sooner or later based on some variables in the environment?
I think some people have changed certain missions in the past based off of dinners and stuff.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Which then affect your real world mission. That's very dangerous. Yeah.
But the environment is very critical in what you're doing and why. Determines when. And
we can start talking about the elephant in the room. I mean, that was the Bin Laden raid, and we know it was delayed by a day because of some dignitary dinner that the president wanted to go to, and ended up changing the conditions, and that's why the helicopter crashed. And I mean, it's not like this is as information's out there. Let's just call it but history is fraught with politicians making decisions for you guys on the battlefield that get you killed because they're making political decisions instead of boots on the ground.
By people who've never been there.
100%. And I guess one quick comment before we kind of pivot to you and the leadership school and then defense systems, but I think it's interesting in special operations and the way you guys are designed that it was ground up, right? You're coming up with a mission and you're briefing your boss and hey, this is what we're doing and why, because you guys have the information, you guys have the intelligence, so you need to be making the decisions. And so much else of military and law enforcement and all that, the decisions are made up here by people that aren't boots on the ground and aren't may not be talking to boots on the ground. I mean, I don't know what y'all's rank structure is, but they could be talking to somebody that's 2, 3, 4 ranks above you to make decisions, and that guy doesn't know because he ain't talking to you. So I think that from a special operations standpoint, again, unconventional warfare, it's unconventional for a reason. I think the military and I think history would be a lot more successful with military operations if we did more of that. Maybe y'all disagree, but probably.
Yeah, I think the teams are really good. You'd be very impressed what they can do with a few left and right limits and a commander's intent.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
No, and we're able to do that in special operations. The Army can do that. They just don't allow it to happen. So down to the lowest common person, a private, a specialist, or even a young sergeant, you take all their critical thinking if they have it away because they have to wait to be told to do something. So they never are allowed the freedom to really think for themselves to make a decision or develop a plan because they'll hit so many roadblocks by the time it gets to an approval process or an authority figure. So they just wait. And, somebody once told me a long time ago the difference between any kind of special operations or Green Beret Ranger opposed to what we would call the regular Army, where Mike and I were in the 82nd or 101st. You tell one of those guys in the infantry, hey, go pull security behind that tree. And they'll go over there and just sit there. And you tell one of us, hey, go over there, pull security behind that tree. Might ask why. And I might tell you, no, that's not the direction I need to be facing. I need to be facing over there. But those guys, they might know it's wrong. They're still going to go sit at that tree. They will not move until somebody comes to get them. Now, if we have a better plan or we see something, we'll be able to speak up and be like, hey, here's why I need to actually go over this tree facing that direction because of X, Y, Z.
Got it.
But those guys will not have a thought process because it's been ripped away or actually never even given to them. And that's kind of my own opinion of it. So, and I didn't look at it that way until 3/4 of the way through my career. So,
thinkers, not doers.
Yeah.
Well, so that makes a big difference in the private world for us when people are coming in and wanting jobs and and they throw out a military background or a law enforcement background. It depends on what you did in those.
Individual experiences may vary.
Yes, absolutely. You got to dig a little deeper than just throwing a blanket.
Kind of like how you and I met, Tom, but anyway, that's a story for another day.
You were just one of them.
Yep, that's right. Still am, apparently. So how long were you at Fifth Creek before you got selected to go to is it called Special Forces Leadership School?
So I was there for just over 4 years, did a handful of deployments in the Middle East and Central Asia with Fifth Group. And then, so I worked at the Special Forces Senior Leader course. So that's essentially guys that are going from sort of the junior ranks on the team to take more senior positions. So it's the gap between E6 and E7. And so we essentially take them from being chess pieces and turn them into chess players, right? So it's almost a completely academic course. We run through a lot of our administrative things to help run the team, like training calendars and non-commissioned officer evaluation reports and things like that. But we also get very deep into strategic implications of what we do and answering the why, right? We walk through a full national strategy module with the students, showing them hey, you may have been on the ground doing a training mission here, but this is how it connects to the national military strategy, the national defense strategy, and, up to the national security strategy out of the office of the president, right? So all these are initiatives that connect from the strategic to the tactical level, right? So it's usually, it's not one of those courses that people are excited to go to. It's not a shooting course. It's not military free fall. It's not dive. It's not anything sexy or cool. But at the end of the 6 weeks, guys are usually happy they went through it.
Okay.
No, and even when I went through that course, Mike and I have had some conversations in the car lately. Like, going to that course, his points, a lot of classroom stuff, but it really builds you up for that strategic outlook. So when you do become a team sergeant or you're in charge, you're a leader, you can actually make calculated decisions based off of all the parameters and not just there's a door, let me blow it up and go in there. Like, that's no longer can be your only thought process. And to Mike's credit, every year in 5th group, a roster is going to come out and say, hey, here's all the slots we need to fill at our training school or training schools. So for me, I had the qualifications to go jump out of planes and teach people how to do that. Not everyone has that qualification. When you get selected to go teach at the leadership course that Mike was taught at, when your name gets submitted for that, it's going to go to that course. They're going to do a lot of background checks on you. They're going to reach out to your previous leaders, your company command elements and everything, because they don't it's not just a plug and play like, it's a, warm-blooded body. Yep, they can fill that slot. It's not that. It's very prestigious to actually go there. A lot of guys will seek that position out solely for promotion because it looks very good. But it's not just, you're breathing. You're going to go instruct there. They want top-tier candidates and team players to go there and actually instruct. So I'll give credit to Mike on that one.
Thanks,
I wouldn't have gotten selected. So.
There you go.
I had to do a couple interviews over the phone. I was deployed, actually, so we had to, we got knocked off call one time, and then we finally connected the dots. But yeah, I had to interview with the first sergeant out there.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, you won a pretty prestigious award while you were there.
Yeah, so there's essentially a competition between all of our schools in the training group, is what we call it. Every year, where you can be the Special Forces Instructor of the Year, right? So a lot of our courses, they'll put a guy up to compete, and it's essentially just a video and sort of a board process that they use to determine whether or not you're the best instructor. But the NCO Academy, because of its prestige, like, we always send someone and we always want to win, But I was fortunate to be selected as the Special Forces NCO Instructor of the Year for 2021.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you believe that I got nominated in 2017? Because imagine how that video went when I got put on the camera to instruct it.
I can imagine. The video of you mean? I can
They're like, hey, you got to make this video. We got to submit it and everything. I'm like, oh my God. Can't we just put a camera hidden somewhere? And,
yeah.
But no, it was very...
It was nerve-wracking.
I
had never been in front of a camera instructing like that. It was sort of... It was awkward, but, you get through it.
And I got a nice, when I had hair. So got a nice high, not high and tight, but real trimmed down haircut.
Yeah.
Very professional. I never heard. And once that video went away and submitted, never heard anything about it ever again. I'm like, I don't even know if anyone ever submitted it, but
yeah.
You can only imagine how I was when it was very canned like that. So,
but it was a great experience for me being an instructor. The best thing I took away from that is what I learned from the students, right? So being an instructor there, you have students from 1st group, 3rd group, 5th group, 7th group, 10th group, even the National Guard groups. So especially the Guard guys, they've all got civilian jobs and a wide range of experiences. And then you hear what's going on in all the other operational areas for all the other groups. It was an incredible experience. And I learned just as much out of each 6-week class that I taught as I taught them, right? So it was a great experience for me as a guy, headed back to a team. I had a really solid foundation and all the things you need to be able to do as a leader on a team. So,
go ahead.
Something cool about having an opportunity to be an instructor in Special Forces, or as a Green Beret specifically, when we go back to one of our courses and we instruct, one of our main things that we have to be good at as Green Berets is to be a teacher. So for Mike and I, depending on how long you're gone, 3 or 4 years, you have 3 or 4 years to get way better at teaching.
Yeah.
So as much as, I'm teaching students, instructing them, I'd always sit down and try to look at, doing an after action review on myself. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? That way, when I go back to a team, I need to bring these things of hey, this is actually what works for me personally of how to instruct. So it was a great opportunity for 36, for me it was 42 months to get better at teaching. So when I get back to a team and we go overseas and we train people, I'm a better teacher than I was 3 years before. So always looking for ways to improve, and that's kind of the competition in our community is, I mean, everything is a competition. It doesn't matter if you're cleaning the bathroom.
Right.
I'm gonna clean that
You're going
stall
to do
better
it,
than you.
keep score.
Most of the time, it's healthy competition, right?
Yeah.
Which can drive organizational success.
Absolutely.
But yeah, everything's competition.
So you were there 4 years, and then you went back to group.
So I was instructing for 3 years.
Okay.
That fourth year, there's a very small program ran out of the National Defense University in Washington, D.C., where they let us, a group of about 30 to 40 special operations officers and non-commissioned officers go to a small college campus on Fort Bragg every year for 10 months to get a master's in strategic security studies. So that last year I was instructing, I went to NDU and got my master's in strategic security studies, which again was an incredibly eye-opening experience. Learned a lot, and that I was able to take back to the team after that. But,
And then how long were you back at the team before you retired?
let's see. I showed back up to group in, I think, 2021 or 22. And then I retired in July of 25, just a few months ago. So.
Okay. So let's talk about your internship or fellowship program. Like what?
Yeah. So
Transition.
before retirement, I got cut away to essentially go do an internship with Tennessee state government. So they run a very small program called the Tennessee Governor's Veteran Fellowship. So they'll take 5 or 6 per year from any branch, any job, and you're a Governor's Veteran Fellow, and it's a year-long program where you're exposed to all 23 departments in state government, where you work on projects alongside those departments, and ultimately, get a job in state government. They want to. The goal is to rapidly transition, high-level military leaders into state government leaders. So it was an amazing opportunity. I really enjoyed my time there. I met a lot of incredible people doing great work for the state, and just being able to see behind the curtain of how Tennessee runs, especially on things like school safety, it's incredible.
And I don't know this, but did Matt Van Epps go through that program? It seemed like that'd be a good
He
trend.
was one of the founders.
Okay.
He helped found it alongside Chris Fears, who later ended up being my boss in the Office of Customer Focused Government.
Okay.
But yeah, it was an incredible program, and Matt Van Epps helped found it. And then I worked with his department a little bit when he was the Commissioner of General Services years later, and then went on to run for Congress while I was there as well. So.
Yeah. So you ended up taking a job there. However,
I did. Yeah.
But prior to that, I guess when you were still doing that, you and Adam had reconnected, or how did that all come to?
Yeah. So early on, even before I had retired, he had reached out, like kind of feeling out, like, "Hey, man, what are you thinking about doing?" I think you were kind of still going through the process too, right?
Yeah. And one of the biggest things that I learned throughout my process was peer-based, connection of when people are getting out, what are you doing versus what I'm doing, and versus what's that guy doing? Because
nobody's a pro at getting out.
No,
that's
everyone
what it came
does
down
it one
to.
time, and everyone's
I was going to say,
experience is
you've
different.
never done it.
Yeah.
So just trying to feel everything out. And I think at the time, even, Mike being a good candidate, granted, I was new at defense systems even, and just, trying to call it like building our bullpen of just having people for part-time work to, kind of come out when we have larger audiences and stuff. So put my eye on them pretty early. So you didn't know that then, but
And last summer he ended up coming out with us a couple times, was it?
Yeah, 2 times.
Tampa and Chattanooga.
Yeah, to come help teach at schools, and he didn't know it, but it was kind of a job interview too, right?
Audition.
Well,
Did he use the chess video?
it's a picture too, not a video.
Oh, okay. Picture.
More to come later, but I'll say this: the fact that Adam even approached me about somebody, to me, meant a ton, because Adam is not easily impressed. I'm not saying that he doesn't value people's stuff, but he's not an easily impressed guy, and I know him well enough now. I think we're probably related somewhere down the line, based on a whole lot of
Diet
things.
choices, and general weirdness.
All the above. D, sir. D. All the above. But I felt like, that went a long way for me. It'd be like Aaron bringing somebody to you, probably, right? Like, he's been with you forever. I mean, you know him, you trust his judgment. It was the same thing. And immediately Mike was a good fit. But he's getting out of the Army, and he needed an answer pretty quick. And I don't move quick. I just don't. I mean,
You can't.
I'm a conservative business owner, and COVID almost got me, right, because of my business model. So I just don't move fast. He ended up taking a job with the state, which was fine.
Yeah, it was great.
It's experience.
It furthered my experience, especially in like the strategy development realm, because the Office of Customer Focused Government, we do business optimization, process improvement, and strategy development for all 23 departments. So it was a great experience. And again, I continue to build a network and build connections and learn about the state.
It brings a lot of experience to what you're doing now.
Sure.
When you're because a lot of times, just as you said, as an instructor, you learn from your students.
That's right.
While you're there. As a business owner and what we do, we learn from our customers.
That's right.
Same thing. You have to understand their operations and their procedures and their mental approach to it to know how what we're doing is going to alter that, work with it or not work with it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times we have to determine this isn't a client that we can deal with because they're not willing to learn or do not want to make the change. So you got the experience with that. So that's
there's
huge.
some mutual adaptability that has to occur there.
Absolutely.
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not all clients are good clients, and I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, same for us. Just like all our students aren't great students, but that's fine. I mean, either way, coming in full circle, we had a vacancy pop open in the fall, and I wanted to give it a lot of thought over the winter, which is our slow season anyway, for people that know kind of our schedule. And, so we reached back out to Mike just 8 weeks ago, I'd guess, something like that, maybe now. And, I just felt like he was going to be a really good fit. I mean, I think his degree in strategy, he's definitely a critical thinker. But we met him with the VP of strategy, and you and I have talked about this a lot, obviously outside of a podcast, because I lean on you for a lot of business advice. But what shut up, you give great business advice. But what I didn't have was a strategic view of a 5-year plan, a 4-year plan. How are we capturing more of the market? I mean, we're so niche in what we do. And we agree we have a solid product. How do we get it to more people? All those sorts of things. And I needed somebody that could come in and just execute on that without me holding their hand. Everybody on this team is a self-starter, is a doer. The two sitting here and Madison, who's off camera, I don't tell them what. I mean, I give them some vision and some direction, but I just stay out of their way. That's the kind of people I want,
Yeah.
But I also want people that run through a brick wall for me, and I have that. I mean, for sure.
I look at it like bowling.
Just poke your chest out and run right through that thing.
That's right. Speaking of chess. No, it's a lot like bowling. If you put all your employees in and all you're doing is telling them a training manual and you do this, do not think outside of it.
Yeah.
That's called the gutter. And
Sure.
I don't know if you bowl, I stay in the gutter a lot when I actually bowl, but that's where you end up.
Yeah.
You don't succeed.
Yeah.
And you're very picky in who you hire and allow that. We do that here.
Yeah. For sure.
I let them make the decisions on what they're seeing and what they're feeling and allow it. And that's the only way to grow is that I know of anyway.
Yeah.
If not, you miss the pins. You get exactly where you were going based off that manual.
That's right.
Yeah.
You got to have it.
So what, this is kind of a $1 million question, but what drew you to this company specifically?
So as part of my transition process, I went through a foundation. It's a nonprofit called the Honor Foundation. So we have a local campus up there at Fort Campbell, and it's for career special operators that are transitioning. And so what it helps you do is narrow down who you are out of uniform, and then what do you want to do when you grow up, right? One of the things we did was this thing called the Clifton Strengths Test.
Okay.
And so it's essentially giving you what drives you as an individual. And for me, my top 3 were connection, belief, and positivity. So for me, I like alliteration because it helps me remember. So I called it people, purpose, and positivity. So I knew I wanted a job where I could work with people, because my favorite part of being with Special Forces was to help others help themselves, right? Solve their own problems, work myself out of a job, right? In those countries. And then purpose. There's no higher purpose that I can think of than using the skills and abilities I gained as a Special Forces operator and putting that into, churches and schools and private companies all over the country. And then positivity. I gain a lot of personal satisfaction from being able to share the knowledge and share the skills and the abilities. Like it's incredibly rewarding to go to any of these training events and just feel that positivity in the room when you're walking out, that you've helped others help themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, those three things are what absolutely drove me to the company.
And it happens. I mean, Adam sees it now. I mean, you watch people transform right in front of you. Like literally, you have these 19-year-old preschool teachers who are petrified, don't want to be there. They don't want to. And by the end, they're thanking you, and they're like, "I got this," and bring it on. And it's a total transformation.
Yeah.
Some of them are already wired that way, but it's very rewarding, obviously, to help people help themselves. And again, not having any clue what Green Berets did prior to Adam, and Tom, I just, I used to be able to say my Green Beret. I can't say that anymore. I got two of them now.
Two of them.
I don't know what I'm going to say, plural, but it is so in line with what they do is they help people help themselves. And that's what the whole mantra of our company, right? Empowering you to save lives, including your own.
That's right.
That's what this is all about. So I could foresee a future, and Adam and I have talked about this, and I guess I'm going to go and put this out on the air, that, I could see Fifth Group being a potential, pretty good pipeline for us moving forward, just because of all those things you just said. That's exactly what we do, right?
That's
and, so I'm going to be looking hard at more of those guys. Not that, we won't take people from other walks of life, but we certainly will. Go look at our instructor pool. It's pretty broad.
That's right.
But it's no surprise, learning what I've learned about you guys, that it's a good fit for y'all to come over and do this. So
that's like our motto in English was to free the oppressed.
That's right.
So, going over to whatever country it was. And
what do you mean in English?
De oppresso libere is the Latin phrase that we use as our motto.
Got it.
But just, for English, it's free the oppressed, which is very similar when I look at our schools, and, not on a, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday are they oppressed, but during those 14 minutes, they're oppressed. So if we can help free them, train them, be prepared, and whatever, noun or verb you want to use for that, that is the end state of my mission. So, we work for them.
Yeah.
When we're there for the 5 hours or 6 hours even setting up, we're working for them.
That's right. And it goes back to that worst day scenario I was talking about in training. We help them prepare for their worst day.
Yep.
Well, you're helping people that don't
know.
realize what they have inside of them.
Yeah.
It opens their eyes. To your point, when you see those preschool teachers that they didn't know they had that.
No, they didn't.
And that is rewarding. And the way
even some of your people, to be honest with you, not as many, but when we trained y'all, y'all watched some people in the room that were less engaged when they first got there, and just transform right by the end of it. They're like, let's do this.
Yeah, it's not a subject everybody wants to breach, but when you do, it's like, oh,
yeah,
I can do this.
They have confidence.
Absolutely,
Yeah. They can make a decision.
Even in our training, when we pair them up and teach a rear naked choke, and you'll have these young teachers or whoever it is come up, and they're just like, I can't do it. Susie's my friend. I can't do it. Then they kind of joke around. We, lighten it up a little bit, and they do that, and they tap each other, and then they feel like John Wick after, a little bit. Like they come out with it, but you see it, a totally different mentality in just 30, 45 seconds of the confidence.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't choke them out the best, but you have that confidence now. So everything else that we've taught you today, you're going to be more actionable about it because you have the confidence, and we empowered them.
Yeah, you're real careful in pairing people up. Unlike Brink, when he did our training class, decided to pair me up with our office manager to choke me out. And she found it within.
Oh, yes, she did. It was epic.
Like, Brink, what are you doing?
Turnabout's fair
wants
play.
To choke me
but
out.
you got to turn around and do it to her. So whatever. Choose your partner wisely.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Well, first out. Thanks for doing this. Obviously, you've never done one of these before, but it's not that hard. It's just us sitting around talking. We just happen to have microphones in front of us. And
well, thanks for having me. This has been great.
There will be people who listen, but welcome to the team. We're obviously glad to have you, and we're going to have you on the next episode too. Where we're going to do part 3 of church safety and security, how to build your team, and how to train them, and what to expect. So that'll do it for this edition of Tips, Tactics, and Tools for a Safer Tomorrow. If you guys are interested in particular subjects or have guest ideas, please email us at info@tipstacticstools.com.
I'm out.